This is the Louie Tee Network.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie Tee? Welcome to Lockdown Coverage, week number 5 in the National Football League. The Oakland Raiders at home hosting the San Diego Superchargers. AFC West family business. If these two teams say they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's family business. You know how this goes. Don't act like you don't know. Raiders right now playing hot football, feeling hot. 3-1 on the season, looking to go to 4-1. And they didn't know at the time, but the Denver Broncos would suffer their first defeat of the season, which meant a win would give them a piece of first place in the AFC West. Don't know the last time we've been able to say that. Probably 2002 when this Raiders team went to the Super Bowl the last time, which coincidentally was the last time this Raiders team was in the postseason. So a lot riding on this game. A little bit of a trap game. Chargers at 1-3. Don't let the record fool you. This team could easily be 4-0 on the season. So if you wanted to come in here and trip and act as if the Chargers were going to lay down, you could easily suffer your second home defeat of the season. So this was a fun game. All Raiders games are fun because there's no defense. So we're going to talk about this game here in a second. But first, as always, welcome to the channel if this is your first time on the Louie Tee Network. Subscribe to the channel for more great content in 2016 and beyond. Also, I'm on Twitter. @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle. I'm also on Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. You can see all of my social media platforms scrolling across the top. So be sure to follow me on Twitter @InTheLabRoom. And if you happen to be up there watching this live feed while I'm doing it and you're on Twitter, shoot me a message. If you want your voice to be heard, use the hashtag LouieTLive to have me read your comment at the end of this breakdown. Also, if you're on the YouTube live feed and you're in the discussion chat and you want your comment read and you want to come back and talk to me and converse with me back and forth, be sure to leave the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read at the end of this breakdown. Also, give me that thumbs up on Facebook. In the Lab Room, once again, the Facebook page. And most importantly, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Louie Tee Network. Okay, table's been set. Let's eat. Let's dig into this great football game out on the left coast. Raiders hosting the San Diego Chargers. Likes, dislikes, banana in the tailpipe. Let's jump into this breakdown. And I'm looking at this game, and I'm just, it's amazing that it got to 30, what do we get to? 31, 34? This game was, what were we at? 10-9 at the half? Didn't think we would get that high in this football game, but a lot of craziness. Likes, dislikes, banana in the tailpipe. We start with the road team and the likes from the first half, which means we'll start with the San Diego Superchargers in the first half. Brandon Mebane with an interception. Big play by the big man. I mean, the 4-card looking to throw a screen. Big man sniffs it out, picks it off. Good hands by the big man to pick it off and give the Chargers some prime real estate early in this ball game. Chargers would squander that great real estate. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but big play by Brandon Mebane early in this ball game. Holding the Raiders to a field goal after a turnover. The Raiders were able to get deep into Chargers territory. I'm talking inside the 5, 1st and goal from the 3. Raiders could not get in, had to settle for a field goal. So that's big. That's a big stop for that Chargers defense. You feel like you won, even though you're giving up points. Offense turns it over. You're put in a bad spot. They drive it all the way inside the 5 to the 3-yard line, got first and goal from the 3, and you force them to kick a field goal. That's a win for the defense, even though you're giving up points. So I thought that was big for the Chargers in the first half. Raiders struggled in the red zone. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Let's get to the first half lights for the Oakland Raiders. Perry Riley Jr., PRJ, making an immediate impact. And I was having a good time with a fellow viewer on the show, and he tweeted me. He said, "Hey, man, thanks for Perry Riley Jr., Washington. We really appreciate him." And I said, "Hey, look, man, anytime. We know the Raiders love shopping at the Redskins store." And I basically said, "Look, man, no problem. Please come back and visit the Washington Redskins Superstore, your one-stop shop for all players that just need a second chance." And the Raiders love shopping at the Washington Redskins Superstore. It's where they got David Emerson as well. So no surprises. I talked to a buddy of mine that's a Raiders fan, and I said, "Look, man," he asked me what to expect from PRJ. And I said, "Look, he's a physical, hard-nosed football player that's going to do exactly what you tell him to do. He's not going to make a bunch of plays, but he's going to do it. If you tell him, hey, your fit is here in the B gap, he's going to show up in the B gap, and he's going to be there when that running back comes. He'll be ready to make a play." Antonio Gates, OG 85, beat him on the play. He gets back to him and is able to force a fumble. Big play by PRJ after the Chargers had forced the interception of the 4 on the initial possession of the game. So it's a big play. Sean Smith with an interception. Look at the big fella finally getting involved and making something happen positively for this Raiders defense. He's starting, I told you, he's a guy that's a confidence guy. The more confidence he plays with, the more plays that he makes. He started to gain that confidence versus the Tennessee Titans, and you're seeing him play much, much better now. I told you, he's one of those guys that just needs to develop confidence now. He still will get beat from time to time, but he's a guy that can and will make plays, and you're starting to see that. Carl Joseph with an interception. You see the theme here, if you're a Chargers fan, why you can't win games like this, right? I just reeled off 3 first-half turnovers forced by this Raiders defense, but more importantly, given up by this Chargers football team. So that's a losing recipe there. Carl Joseph with a fumble recovery. This a big play, with an interception, just a deep shot taken by Phillip Rivers, and severe overthrow, and Carl Joseph able to reel that football in and get a nice return after getting up from the catch and giving the Raiders some great field position. Again, they would squander that great field position with the Raiders by having to settle for a field goal. But really like what the Raiders are doing defensively from a forcing the issue and turnover standpoint. But we'll talk about this Raiders defense a little bit later on in this breakdown. And I always, you know how I feel about points at the end of halves. You know how I feel. Raiders get a field goal at the end of the first half. Seabass doing what Seabass does. The NFL career leader in 50-plus yard field goals made, bangs it home from 56 with no problems to get the Raiders within 1 at half, 10-9. You go to the dislikes in the first half. We go back to the Chargers in this game. OG 85 with a fumble on the first possession. Come on, OG. You better than that, man. You can't fumble there, bro. And you just getting healthy. You just coming back off the injury list. You can't come in a game fumbling OG 85. Not you. Anybody but you. Big fumble because you got the momentum early with the Mebane interception. You give it right back with an OG 85 fumble. Great play by PRJ to force that fumble. Philly Rivers with his first interception of the game on the second possession of the game. So first possession, you get a short field, prime opportunity to score. You give it right back with the fumble. Second possession, you get the football. Phillip Rivers turns it over with an interception. So Chargers making mistakes early in this ball game that would come back to haunt them late. Philly Rivers throws his second INT of the game. And really the overarching theme here, turnovers for the Chargers in the first half of this game. You can't have them, especially on the road, especially when you're 1-3, especially when your coach is on the hot seat, especially when the team you're playing is playing with the utmost confidence and they're generating turnovers. And oh, by the way, they're 3-1. These are all things that are going to haunt you when you turn the football over. When you're 1-3, these are the types of things that you do on the season. It's no mystery, it's no secret why the Chargers are 1-4 on the season now after this game. It's because of things like this: turnovers, untimely turnovers, mistakes, late in ball games. This Chargers team, I've never seen anything like this in my life, to be honest with you. The Chargers reinvent the wheel every week as to how to lose a game, and I've never seen it, because I look at this Chargers team and I'm thinking to myself, they could be one of the better teams in this division. Looking at them, they play defense, even though they didn't play it that well in this game. They turned the football over. But they can play some defense. They got some stuff. Got some guys that are injured. But Phillip Rivers at quarterback, you could argue the best quarterback in that entire division, and yet you're 1-4 because you just don't know how to win. And they create ways to lose. It's amazing. But nonetheless, let's get to the Raiders and their first half dislikes. The 4 card with the interception early, talked about that. Brandon Mebane, great job on the screen. If it's not there and you can't see it, it's a simple decision. Get rid of it. You don't throw into traffic, especially when you couldn't even see the running back on that play with so much garbage around. And for the 4 card to think he could just toss it up and it'll find the running back there, big mistake, and he had to pay for it with the interception. Luckily enough for him, his defense picked him up and created a turnover several plays later. Settling for a field goal, 1st and goal from the 3. And really, settling for field goals was the theme of the day for the Raiders in the red zone. They were 0 for 3 in the red zone, or 0 for 2 in the red zone at one point in the game. In the first half, they struggled in the red zone, particularly not getting in the end zone. Look, it could have come back to bite them. If the Chargers didn't feel like self-destructing, those field goals that you settled for in the first half might have come back to haunt you and ultimately cost you this ball game. You got to get in the end zone. And the Raiders had been outstanding at doing that up until this game. So I guess they were due for some struggles in the red zone after being one of the most prolific teams in the red zone to start this season. Missed Seabass field goal. Is it me, or is it something always up with the snap and the hold in Oakland? It's either high or it's not where it needs to be. It just seems like, I don't know what's going on with John Kondo and with that whole operation. It just seems like it's always off. And on this particular play, it seemed like the snap was a little high to me. But in any event, Seabass hooked it and missed field goal, missed opportunity. And not only do you miss and not put points on the scoreboard there, you give the Chargers, who don't need your help offensively, great field position to start their drive as well. Offsides on Danico Autry on 4th and 1. Come on, man. No, can't do that. Your defense is bad enough as it is. Don't give away 4th downs and 1. Can't do that. You're not good enough on defense to give up anything. So, and it seemed like he got a little nudge from his teammate, but doesn't matter. Don't jump off sides. Simple as that. Krabs with a huge 3rd down drop in the first half. You're trying to get something going right before the halftime break. He drops the football. You punt. The Chargers get the football, and they drive down, and they get a field goal of their own. I believe they get a field goal. No. That's just a drop by Krabs late in the second quarter. Chargers would ultimately have to punt. Raiders would get it back, and they would be the ones to get a field goal late in the first half. But nonetheless, don't drop the football. And he's got pretty good hands. This isn't something that I'm accustomed to seeing him do. I think he just took his eyes off the football. In any event, 3rd down, you're wide open, easy 1st down, and you get out of bounds. Got to catch the football. He didn't do that on that particular play. Let's go back to the likes. We go back to the Chargers. This time we go to the second half of this football game. Big plays. Big plays for the Chargers in the second half. Triple H, who's coming into his own. Hunter H. Henry getting the job done. And I talked about him on Louie Tee Live, on the rookie wall, as a guy that is ascending. I love his game. And you see why he was the first tight end taken in past spring's draft. This is a guy that is a playmaker. Huge catch and run for 55 yards on his Raiders defense. And he's not a guy that is overly fast. So to see him catch it, turn around and say, oh, hell, there's nobody around. I think I will help myself to an extra 45 yards on this play for a total of 55 on the play. When they had them in 3rd and long there, and to have the Black Sea part essentially on that particular play and allow him to run and be unmolested for at least 35, 40 yards of that play was amazing. Triple H with some huge plays in this game. Tyrell Williams, another guy that I've been talking about Tyrell Williams for about, since the first game of the season versus the Chiefs. This guy was making plays. Then he continues to make plays. Love Tyrell Williams and the big playability that he brings to the table. You saw it in this game. He made some huge plays as well. And the other, like in the second half, the relentlessness of this Chargers football team. They were down 10, 34-24. They could have packed it in, could have easily lost this football game. All the Raiders needed was one stop, and this game was over. Instead, they put their head down, they grinded, and they got this thing within 3 with a chance to tie the game until Drew Kazar struck again. We'll talk about him because I got an axe to grind with Drew Kazar when we get there. Let's move on to the Raiders and their second half likes. AC/DC connecting for the deep ball for the touchdown. This was a critical drive in the game. Raiders are down 7 here or 8. I would say they're down 8. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, score is 24-16 at the time of this play. Chargers got all the momentum. They're scoring. They're moving the football. They feel good about themselves. Chargers get a stop here, get the football back. With the way they were moving it, I like to think that they go right back down on this Raiders defense, score again, and then the Raiders start to doubt themselves, and this thing could turn ugly. Instead, and the 4-car was pressured on this play, and not only was he pressured, he threw this off balance, and Amari Cooper, when the ball's in the sky and your QB needs a guy, it's somebody, finds a way to beat the defender, and it was nothing but a stutter and go. It wasn't anything fancy. Gave him a little shimmy, got right by him, up the sideline. 4-car hits him in stride. Touchdown. That's exactly what the Raiders needed at that time of the game to cut this lead back to 1 at 24-23. Forced fumble on the next possession after that big ball got them back in the game. Forced fumble by Stacey McGee, scooped up by the young rook, Carl Joseph, which led to another ballsy call that will be our next like on this list. Jack Del Rio continuing to roll the dice. I love it. Want more of it. Scared money don't make money. The reason the Raiders are sitting at 3-1 right now is because Jack Del Rio isn't a B. Okay? He's not allowing teams to dictate what's going to happen. He's the one being aggressive. He's the one rolling the dice, and it's not going to work every time. It didn't work in the Atlanta game, but scared money don't make money, and he's not afraid to push all the chips into the middle of the table and say, you know what? Let's put everything I got on black. Bet black. And it came up on 4th and 2 and this is when you know you've got supreme confidence in your quarterback. I've been asking for them all season long. Put your trust in the 4-car. He's one of the best quarterbacks. Not Young. I'm ready to take the Young off of his name. He's one of the best. Take Young off. One of the best quarterbacks in the game. Let him win you the football game then. If you think that he's as good as advertised, and I think he's good, he sold me because I came into this season with a couple of questions. I have no more questions. Only answers have been given to me. I feel good about the 4-car. On 4th and 2, this is something that the great quarterbacks in the league do. Because on 4th and 2, most teams are just looking to pick up the first down. I go back to the first game of the season, Steelers on Monday night versus Washington Redskins. 4th and 1. Steelers could have easily took a simple crossing route that's wide open for about a good 8-yard gain, would have gave them a first down, moved the sticks. No. Ben Roethlisberger went up top 30 yards to Antonio Brown for a touchdown. That's what the good teams do. That's what the great quarterbacks do. They don't want the first down. They want it all. And on 4th and 2, the 4-car goes up top to Krabs. And how many times have these two connected on some critical, crucial 4th downs this season? They do it again. Beautiful fade route over the outside shoulder. Krabs reeling it in, getting his feet down. Touchdown, Raiders. As they get the lead and go for 2. Great slant to Amari Cooper. And just like that, the Raiders, who were down 8 just a minute ago, are now up 7 after the 2-point conversion at 31-24. Let's go to the dislikes in this game. We go back to the second half and back to the Chargers. Quick strike to Cooper for the touchdown. I thought that was a huge play because, again, you're up 8. You got all the momentum. You're moving the football at will. You get one stop and one stop alone, and this game could be over because the way the offense is moving the football, the Raiders cannot stop you if you don't stop yourself with the turnover. So giving up that big ball, make them earn it. All game long, they struggled in the red zone. So don't give them a big ball for a touchdown. Make them drive it 13 plays. Make them get inside the 10 where they've struggled all game and punch it in. You didn't do that, and that gave up a big momentous play in this game that really turned the tide because on the next possession, your running back Melvin Gordon III coughed it up. Boom. Next thing you know, Raiders in the end zone on a big 4th and 2 conversion, 2-point conversion. Boom, you're down 7 just like that. Steve Williams with a dropped interception. You get a chance. Look, I say this every week with the 4-car. He's not going to give you many opportunities to pick him off, but you're going to get one. Last week, Eric Weddle got one opportunity to end that game, and he dropped it. Raiders went on to win the football game. On the very next play, he hits Krabs in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. Here's an opportunity for Steve Williams to pick off the 4-car. He threw it right to him, had it in his hands. Somehow he dropped it. Catch the football. The Raiders would get a field goal on that drive. You lose by 3 in this game. Catch the football, and maybe we're talking about a different outcome here. Gotta make plays. That's what the 1 and 3, now 1 and 4 teams don't do. They don't make plays. That was an opportunity for Steve Williams to turn the tide in this game back in the favor of the Chargers. He failed to do so. Melvin Gordon III with the fumble. Look, that's 2 weeks in a row he's had a costly fumble. We want to blame Mike McCoy and everybody for all of the miscarriages of justice that have happened to this Chargers team this year and all of the misfortune that they've suffered. But guys on the field have to make plays, okay? Everybody wants to blame Mike McCoy. Look, I don't have a problem with you blaming Mike McCoy. You're the long-suffering San Diego Chargers fan, not myself. However, guys can't be making these types of mistakes and expecting the team to win. And it has nothing to do with Mike McCoy. You can't fumble the football in the 4th quarter of ball games. You can't fumble the football in crucial portions of the ball game. This fumble, again, Raiders just scored on a big ball to Cooper. You give it right back to them when they've got the momentum now and they go down and get another touchdown and a 2-point conversion. These are the types of plays that have snowball effects that change games. And that fumble really hurt the Chargers in this football game. Travis Benjamin with a drop on a deep ball. He was open. Philly Rivers hit him in his hands. 45 yards down the field, you got to catch the football. It's really simple. You're behind the defense. Make the play. Make the play. Drew Kazar. Let's talk about Drew Kazar, whatever the hell his name is. I'm starting not to like this dude. He's really pissing me off already. Okay? He hasn't punted well. Okay, I can think of at least 2 games where he struggled to punt the football, shanking the football off the side of his foot, and now you're dropping snaps. Simple process. Perfect snap, right in your hands, catch the football, put it down, spin the laces, put your hand on the top, and let the field goal kicker do what it is he does. Tie this game up at 34, and let's see what happens. New ball game. Instead, it goes right through your damn hands, and like I said, he had a poor punt in this game that gave the Raiders some great field position. Drew Kazar is on my short list of kickers in this league who are on a short leash that may need to be replaced. And I know you spent a pick on this guy, so you want to give him time to mature, but he is costing you ball games. Don't like what I've seen out of Drew Kazar thus far in this season. He better get his act together and get it together fast because I don't know if the Chargers win this game or not. I don't know. But I do know that Josh Lambo probably would have connected on his field goal to tie the game up at 34, and then you got yourself a brand new ball game. Instead, he misses. You lose the football game 34-31. And so, look, bottom line, the Chargers are inventing new ways to lose every week. And a wise man once told me this, and I'm finding it to be the truth. More games in the National Football League are lost than they are won, and the Chargers continue to lose ball games. You turn it over 4 times, don't expect to win. Not in this league, not on the road, not when you're playing a team that right now is better than you. So, let's go to the Raiders and their second half dislikes, giving up the big plays. Make the Chargers earn it. They're self-destructing. They're turning over the football. The more they have to make plays, the more they have to snap the ball, the more chances you give yourself to generate more turnovers. Don't give up big plays. The big play to Triple H, the big play to Tyrell Williams, too many big plays. Make these guys earn it because they're self-destructing right before your very eyes. Don't give them big plays to help them get in the end zone. Almost blowing a 10-point lead. Look, man, you're up 34-24 at the crib. You got all the momentum. Put these boys away. Don't let them crawl back into the game. Don't let them come within a field goal going through the holder's hands of tying this football game up, which leads me to my final dislike, the defense. Oh, my God. This Raiders defense is bad. Man, is this defense bad. I mean, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the only game the Raiders haven't given up 30-plus points is the Tennessee Titans game. Did you give up 30 to the Ravens? No, you didn't give up 30 to the Ravens. You won that game 28-27, I believe. And the Ravens don't like scoring points. So giving up 27 to the Ravens, that's like giving up 37 to the Ravens. So, man, this defense is bad. My goodness. I mean, the Chargers literally did what they wanted to do in this game. And the only thing that stopped them from winning was the turnovers. I mean, seriously, look, I got a song for you. I got a song that I think fits you, and you need to clean up your act before it costs you. It's by Boyz II Men. It's called Water Runs Dry. Don't wait until the water runs dry out there, all right? It'll be the biggest mistake of this season, and you'll lose this division if you don't clean it up quickly, okay? Let's not wait till the water runs dry. Don't wait till the turnovers go dry. If you don't start getting stops, don't think you're going to get 3 and 4 turnovers every week, because it's not going to happen. At some point, you got to dig down and get stops. If you don't start getting stops defensively, you're going to lose football games. I'm warning you. Don't say that I didn't tell you. Don't say that Louie T didn't warn you, because you're not going to play the Chargers every week. Not going to play the Ravens every week. You're not going to play teams who are generous every week. Got to start making plays defensively by getting stops, getting off the field. You put the Chargers in a 3rd and 11 situation, 2nd and 14, and you give up a 55-yard play to Hunter Henry where nobody's around? Come on. Got to be better defensively than this. These turnovers are great. I call them the great equalizer. It'll take a bad defense, or no, a horrible defense, and make them just bad. That's what turnovers can do. But at some point, those turnovers run out. And when they do, you'll still be left with a horrible defense that's now not getting turnovers. You got to start getting stops. You were up 10 in this game. Put them away. All it would have took was one stop. One stop. You couldn't do it. And allowed them to crawl right back into this game. Wow. This defense is bad. This defense is really, really bad. Speaking of which, let's get to your comments. I see a bunch of action over here. So let's jump into this thing. See if I got any action on Twitter before I jump in. I see I got a couple of tweets. So I just want to make sure I'm not missing anybody here before I get there. And I'm not. Let's get to my mentions. Sometimes guys slide things into mentions without actually tweeting me. And no. So let's jump into these comments. I see a bunch of them. All right. Brian Emerson, my man BE, says, so what other ways are the Chargers going to lose? Maybe a pick six or allowing a kick return for a touchdown. It's all in play with the Chargers this year, man. Maybe a blocked field goal for a touchdown. I mean, that's a pretty tough way to lose a game. Throw all of those in the bag. Shake it up. Don't look. Just reach your hand in the hat, pull one out, and reveal it to the Chargers. Don't let everybody else see it. I want it to be a surprise. But just show the Chargers and say, hey, I want you to lose your next game like this, and show it to them. It could be any of those things that you said. It could be what I just said, a blocked field goal that's scooped up and scored. I don't know. But it's tough for Chargers to watch, Chargers fans. But, man, is it entertaining. Gosh, they find ways. They create ways to lose. Caleb Hazard says, Where does Derek Carr rank for you so far in the season? Man, he's up there. He's high on the list of quarterbacks, man. When he gets opportunities, he's not missing. And when they need it, critical situations, this is how I judge quarterbacks. Can you hit the deep ball? And when your team needs you the most, do you step up? Derek Carr has checked both of those boxes with a permanent black marker. Check and check. How many times have the Raiders needed him this season? Against New Orleans, I can think of a ton of times in that ball game where he had to step up. 2-point conversion, huge play, ballsy call. He makes it happen with the fade to Krabs. I can think of a number of different games where he stepped up and made plays. The Ravens game last week, made plays. This game this week, 4th and 2, gutsy call by Jack Del Rio to roll the dice. And what does he do? He comes up clutch with a perfectly thrown fade. And this is it. We're not talking about a 7-yard fade. We're talking 20 yards away. Perfectly placed football. Couldn't have ran up and handed it to Krabs any better than that. Derek Carr right now playing like a, dare I say, top 7 quarterback in this league. I think he's definitely in the top 10 right now with the way he's played this season. Dare I say top 7, though. He might have infiltrated the top 7. He's playing that well right now at the quarterback position. Caleb Hazard says, on that 4th down touchdown, Carr checked out of slants into the seam route to Krabs. And the fact that he has the ability to do that is just magnificent in only his 3rd season. The guy is a beast right now. The way he's dissecting defenses and making throws, the thing I love about him is he just doesn't miss. He gets an opportunity, and you're going to pay. You make a mistake in coverage, you're going to pay. I'm watching teams out here, and guys are running free, and a quarterback doesn't find their way to that receiver, and you get away with a busted coverage. Not with Derek Carr. You make a mistake, you pay for a mistake. A guy gets a step on you, he's putting the football on that receiver. And he's not making them wait for it. He's hitting them in stride. I mean, right now, Derek Carr is locked into a zone. And if you're going to beat the Raiders, you're going to have to score a bunch of points because the Raiders offensively are scoring a bunch of points, which right now isn't hard to do because the Raiders aren't stopping anyone from scoring a bunch of points. But just know, coming into the game, if you want to beat the Raiders, you're going to have to score some points because this offense has it on tilt right now. All right. First name, last name says, do the Chargers need a new QB or better lineman? There's nothing wrong with Phillip Rivers. He's not the reason they're losing football games. I mean, he tossed up a couple of interceptions in this game, but make no mistake about it, he put them in a position to win this game, and they continue to let him down. They lose to the Colts because Triple H fumbles late in that ball game, and there were some mistakes made in that game, and Phillip Rivers was part of those mistakes, but make no mistake about it. They should be 4-0, and there's no reason, or 4-1, potentially 5-0 right now, and Phillip Rivers is the reason why they would be undefeated if they would have been there right now. 4-1, 5-0, whatever the case may be, it would have been largely in part to Phillip Rivers. So they don't need a new quarterback. If you want to go get them some upgrades on the offensive line, knock yourself out. But it's not because of Phillip Rivers, that's for sure. Mr. A. Miles says, forget the past comment if you saw it. Hopefully the defense can step up and not rely on turnovers. They're going to need to moving forward. B.E. says, what is your record for this week for predictions heading into Monday night? I am currently 7-6. A win would get me to 8-6. I'm cool with what I've done this week. This was a tricky week, and I said it was a tricky week. I'm just happy that I didn't fall below the Mendoza line. I can't now. Even if I lose tonight, I'd be 7-7. I'd take that because I'll talk about it more on Wednesday about my thought process in this weekend with my picks on Louie Tee Live on Wednesday. What are your impressions of Joey Bosa? I actually meant to talk about him. I actually omitted him from my likes list. I actually meant to put him in there. Joey Bosa looked good. Now, his 2 sacks, they were hustle sacks. They weren't like, oh, he just beat the tackle off the snap and got to the quarterback. They were sacks where Derek Carr hung on to the football a little bit longer than he wanted to, and Joey Bosa was relentless. But there was one play on the left side of the offense, right side of the defense, where he beat Donald Penn right off the snap, and Carr just stepped up, and Joey Bosa slid by, got a piece of his leg, but wasn't able to corral Derek Carr and get him down for a sack. Joey Bosa looks legit, and he was great in the run game. He's only going to get better. And a lot of people were talking and throwing around the B word, which is crazy to me. No, not Bosa, but bust. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This guy is a technician. He's got some of the best hands I've ever seen coming out of college football. Most guys don't use their hands well coming into the league. That's a skill that you acquire once you get here. You're taught that. He came pre-packaged with the ability to win with just hand usage alone. Joey Bosa is going to be just fine if he can stay healthy. You got you something there with Joey Bosa, that first-round pick. He looked really good in this game. Mr. A-Mile says, we are starting to find ways to win games. Hopefully this can be a trend and not a dead end. Well, that's what the good teams do. They find ways to win. It's not pretty with the way the defense is playing, but you're finding ways to win, and that's all that matters. You'll continue to coach them up, try to get better, but you want to do these things while you're winning. And so the Raiders are 4-1. You won't get any complaints out of any Raider fans, and you won't get any complaints out of me. But you do need to find ways to get off the field moving forward because, again, at some point, these turnovers are going to dry up, and you're going to need to be able to actually rely on getting teams off the field. BE says, if the Bucs win, I go 10-4. That'll be a fabulous week, man. Kudos to you. I got the Panthers, so hopefully you don't win that game tonight. But we'll see what happens on Monday Night Football. I will join you after that game, obviously, for Monday Night Football overtime. That's going to do it for this breakdown. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for all of the comments that you guys left in the comment section. Continue to join me as I got one more game to break down on lockdown coverage. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. Remember, we're changing the game one live feed at a time. Got one last comment. I'll go ahead and knock it out. Caleb Hazard says, what do you think of DeAndre Washington and Jalen Richard? They're okay. Neither one of them are game-changing backs. That's why they don't get a bunch of carries. You'll see Jalen Richard with 6 or 7. You'll see DeAndre Washington with 6 or 7. This Raiders team, they're a passing football team. Okay, first and foremost. They're not going to line up and pound teams into oblivion. They're going to ride or die with Derek Carr slinging the rock 30 to 40 times a game. And I'm okay with that because he's proven that he can. If they have success running, like Jalen Richard did in week 1 versus New Orleans, maybe they'll stick with it a little bit more than they normally do. But make no mistake about it, this is a pass-first team, and those guys are okay, but they don't really move the needle for me. They're solid backs, but Latavius Murray was out with a toe injury. He doesn't change the game either. He's just like the rest of these guys. He's okay, but he doesn't do anything to change the game. None of the Raiders' backs do. Okay, the Raiders have a bunch of ordinary people. They're just ordinary people at the running back position, just like John Legend said. They're ordinary people. They can be replaced. They're solid, but they all do something different, bring something different to the game, which is always good when you have a host of backs in your backfield. So that's going to do it for me on this program. Got one more game to break down. Rams hosting the Buffalo Bills. I'll be right back with that breakdown in about 5 minutes. I'll see you then. Have a good one.